Afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Mad Hatters with me, Ringo8781. You can see since the last video, by the way, I hope you all enjoyed your Sunday roast as we spoke about on Sunday's episode. We've just progressed ever so slightly. We've gone to the 2nd of April. That's the youth intake day for this series. So we've just sort of stopped it there so we can have a little look at what youth players did come in, because we mentioned them briefly in the last video, if they're any good, and potential ways of scouting. Just the youth players that come in. It's a bit different this year on FM. It's not like it was in previous years where you could literally just go and pick up the wonder kids on the youth intake day, but it's always worth keeping an eye on certain ones. But yeah, so you can see we are now 5th in the table after we had that tremendous win in the last episode. Results have kept going our way, and we find ourselves in 5th position. Big Andy, fresh off of scoring a brace in the game that we live commed, has carried on the form. This was the last game we held off on the Peterborough game. Brilliant 4-1 win. Followed that up with a 4-0 win against Bristol. Daniel Butterworth scored a hat-trick. I'm very, very happy with him. I don't think we're going to be able to keep him long term. I think we're progressing him faster and quicker than maybe even Blackburn thought. But he's absolutely somebody we want to keep. And to go to Ashton Gate and absolutely blow them out the water was tremendous. Alan Campbell scored a really good goal in this game. I think ball got played over the top and he made a really late run. But it's not going to let me view it, I don't think, which is a bit annoying. No, we don't want to view the whole match, not on this laptop. Anyway, we followed that up with a 2-0 win against Huddersfield. Andy Carroll getting on the score sheet again. And then after a 0-0 draw with Hull City, Big Andy scored again. I think if we do end up getting promoted, he's definitely somebody who's going to follow us up the division based on the way he's performed. He just fits the system. He just fits the tactic very well. And again, that's it's proof of what we want to do. We want to prove that you don't have to go out and spend 60, 70 million pounds on an 18-year-old wonder kid from South America. Sometimes Big Andy Carroll can come in and do the job that's required, and he certainly has done. He very, very, very surprising, but yeah, it's worked out well. I'm very happy with it. 10 appearances, 7 goals. Happy days. But yeah, let's just get into the youth intake. It's literally just happened. So once the inbox loads, you'll see it is fresh off the bat. We have, as I suggested, 3 very good defenders come through. But also, I just wanted to talk more about your star ratings. Your star ratings here are based on what your head of youth development thinks. So we've got a guy called Neil Woods who's got 14 and 14. So he knows, he's not perfect, but he's got a very good personality. He's got good working with youngsters, and he sort of knows the ins and outs of the youth candidates. So they're saying Ryan Brown is the most gifted. This has a real chance of developing into a golden generation for the club. I agree with that. I think the list of players that he's brought through are very, very good. We'll have a little look at Ryan Brown. He's a right back. Balanced personality, not the best physically, but obviously he's only 15. Mentally and technically, he's actually very, very, very good. If he wasn't 5'7", I'd probably try and play him as a centre back. But again, he's only a little lad, so he's absolutely getting a contract straight from the bat. We're gonna, because of his 2-star ability at being 15, we want to tie him down to a contract pretty much straight away. Otherwise, you're probably going to get people sniffing about. Future prospect, immediate, negotiate his deal. And again, they're just saying his jumping reach and the fact that he's not good in the air are the only cons. Everything else, he works well within the team. He can improve a lot. Good personality. He's very committed. And he's considered a leader at the age of 15, which is great. We're going to give him the longest contract we possibly can. Again, he's not going to get any appearances yet, so I don't mind him having an appearance fee and whatnot. Unused sub, we do always take off. Yearly wage rise can go. That can stay. And we're going to add a optional contract extension from the club, drop that up to 3 years, and whack his wage up a little bit to £500 per week. So realistically, if he accepts it, drop that up to that. lock that in. Pull his appearance fee up to 1.5k. There you go. So we've got him tied down to a 5-year deal, which, we've basically got him until the lad turns 20. I think he could be a very, very good right back for the club going forward. The fact he's 2-star ability, and we've actually got a couple of good right backs, particularly James Bree, is very, very promising. It's a bit annoying that we don't have an under 23s team, so we can sort of push some of the under 18s up. But we're gonna keep him in and around the club. I don't think he needs mentoring. I think his determination and his and whatnot will probably just go up on its own. I'm very, very happy with that. More than happy. Next up, we've got another wing back. We've got Zach Keeble. They're saying he's an attacking fullback, and you can see he's a bit quicker. And again, look at the personality and the determination, teamwork, work rate, market, tackling. He's very good. The only cons for him, again, not a very good aerial presence, not a great jumping reach, and his only National League ability. Everything else, fantastic. Works well within a team. Couldn't improve a lot. It's mad. Couldn't improve a lot. Fairly determined attitude, strong commitment, very versatile. Considered the leader again, and he's a homegrown player. Zach Keeble, man. We are eventually probably going to put the Zealand face pack on. He's actually from Luton, this guy, but he's not a Luton fan. That's a shame. But yeah, again, we're just going to sign all of these up straight away. Again, we're going to try again to get him as long as we can, because he's probably going to want a 1 or 2 year deal. 2-year deal. Let's add the contract extension by the club of 3 years. Lock that in. Push his wage up to 500. Get rid of the wage rises. I don't mind the top division one. That's fine. It's the other one that I'm not keen on. The yearly wage rise. I always get rid of that. He's happy with that. Yeah. 50% takes him up to just over £1,000. I'm happy with that. He's not going to get much game time at the age of 16 as well. There you go. And then this guy, you might have seen the thumbnail and seen a load of, we've got a lot of Luton Town youth players on it. That was the original idea. And then you might have seen Shadrach Dingle and Emmanuel Frimpong knocking about on the thumbnail. And this is actually why. This is the guy. I think he's got an amazing name, Shadrach Frimpong. He can play right back or centre back. He can play centre midfield. He's very good at dribbling. His anticipation and positioning for the age of 15, decent. Jumping reach is good. Physicality is decent. He's a very good player again. His leadership's not great, but his determination's good. They're saying he's very brave, which is 16 bravery. Could improve a lot. Very jovial, light-hearted. We're not gonna mentor him as well. I think he will just naturally progress with the way that the team is. Very physical. They're saying he's not very technical, but he's a proper centre half. You can see they're saying he's a no nonsense centre half. We'll probably train him as a ball player, just try and get the vision and technique up, but we never know. It might work, it might not. Sometimes when I'm training defenders, I do libero, just because it gets everything up then. Dribbling as well, he's a very good dribbler. He might even get that treatment, but he's another one we're going to sign up straight away. We're pretty much going to sign all of these lads up. I'm very happy with the youth intake. I'm very happy. You don't normally see them this good this early on. Oh, no, wrong one. Yeah, you don't normally see them this good this early on. Shadrach Frimpong, man. Tremendous name. We're going to give Shadrach a little bit more because I feel like with his personality, he's probably going to try and push the boat a little bit. He's accepted straight away. My man Shadrach. He's got a yearly wage rise of 10%, but again, that's £65 a year on top. That's fine. Next up was the Romanian guy that was spoken about in the last video. Not as good potentially as the rest, but it's Florin Teagle, Romanian centre half. 6'2", another big lad. And again, determination, very physical, very brave, very committed. Technical attributes are very, very good. What he's doing in Luton, I don't know. It is actually this guy. It's the guy from Siso Giresti. Very good. Very, very happy with him. He's another one we're going to sign up straight away. That's all this video is going to be, is me signing up my youth players at the start of it. Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll throw the face pack on in the next video, or for the next video, and we'll see what a few of these guys look like with the face pack. He wants a 10-month deal. Why would you want a 10-month deal? 2-year deal, 160. No, we'll pop you up to 5. Add clause, contract extension of 3 years. Whack you on there. And Florin signs in on a 5-year deal. It's always worth doing this with your youth candidates, is getting them to stay around as long as you can. Even if it's just the case of, at the end of the season when it says such and such is running out and blah, 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 you can just trigger the extension. You've got 3 years then, and he's locked into a contract for 3 years. You can develop them at your club, which I tend to do with a lot of people before loaning them out at the age of like 18, 19, 20. And we go from there. But this guy's going to be very, very good. This is Seamus Dunn. He's from the Republic of Ireland. He's not the biggest, but if you look, he's got very good composure, good off the ball, very good teamwork, work rate, determination. He's got some traits. He runs with the ball down the right hand side because he can play as a winger, and he likes to round the goalkeeper. To me, he's definitely an advanced forward. If we can get his pace up, all my strikers we train as complete forwards. It's just a thing that I've always done. I'd rather get all of the attributes up as much as I can in training, and then when he's playing more, his particular attributes will tend to go up. The problem with this guy is that he's very one-footed. He's not very good in the air, but he's got 10 jumping reach and 6 heading for a guy who's 5'9". I think he's more than capable of training and learning. And again, we've got a few mentors at the club, a few older players who can train him and help him out. So, Seamus, 60 grand, Seamus Dunn. Double that. Drop his yearly wage rise off. Lock that in. 4-year deal for Seamus. So what I wanted to talk about as I'm doing this is reflection of star ratings on your youth players. You see, so sort of like Alex Davenport down here, they're saying potential is 3-star. And you've got to remember that the star ratings are comparative of your first team. So what they're saying is that this young lad, Alex Davenport, at the minute is not first team level, but could actually be a decent to good rating for your senior team. He's a defensive midfielder who comes deep to get the ball and tries long range passes. We play with a deep line playmaker. What they're saying is, comparatively, he could be as good as Luke Berry and George Honeyman. So you've got to think about it that way. I know a lot of the first instinct is to go, he's a 5-star player, but that's the opinion of your scout or the coach who's looking at him at the minute. The opinion is of Neil Woods, who is decent. Obviously, if you've got someone who's like 2020, you can pretty much take that as gospel if you pay a lot of attention to star ratings. But yeah, I mean, this guy is more just, he's definitely a deep line playmaker, and he is, he's got a lot of the attributes and whatnot that we look for. So that's, again, you've got to just keep an eye on that. Anyone who's above is basically saying they've got the potential to be better than what you have. Fairly good to very good rating. So like this James Woods guy, he could potentially be better than Simon Sluga. He could not be. That's the thing with the game. That's how it works. They might be good, they might not be good. You've got to train them. But again, look, he's either footed. He's got good technique. He's got good his passing's crap, actually. His passing's not great. His kicking's not great, but he's got good technique, so he could be a sweeper keeper. But you've just got to make sure you train them and mentor them well. Again, he's got decent personality, so he probably doesn't need mentoring, but we'll more than likely bring him through and see how it goes from there. So, youngster, if they just want a youth contract, there's not a lot you can do. He gets a youth contract, and that's fine. Next up, we've got Andy Stewart, who is, I believe, the third of the 3 centre-backs that were mentioned in the youth report. So you look at this guy and you see his personality is unambitious and his determination is only at 5. To me, he's not a centre-half. It does say young centre-back, but he is only 5'11". His jumping reach and his heading's not great. He's got very good dribbling, good first touch. Good marking, passing, tackling, good work rate and good teamwork. Stamina's okay. His natural fitness is very good. To me, he could probably be a centre mid, So we just do like complete wing back. Obviously, his crossing's not great, so let's just ignore that. Complete wing back is probably as close to like a box to box or a ball winning midfielder. Um, you don't need Flair as a ball winning midfielder. I can't sort of show you his development unless we sign him. But I'm going to train him as a centre mid, and I'm gonna try and get him as much game time centre mid as possible. If you look in the last video, we were looking at Wakwe and Leshabala, who wants to play centre mid. Physically, mentally, and technically, he's probably not far off, So they're comparing him to right backs. Obviously, James Bree, he's not going to be a right back, so that's fine. He's a centre mid to me, this guy. So you need to look. You need to look at these players when you bring them through. You need to make sure that they're being identified properly by your coaches. They're saying he's a centre back, but he's definitely not a centre back. They're saying he could be a right back, but to me, he's definitely not a right back as well. So yeah, we give him a little 4-year deal, pop you up to 500. There you go, 575. There you go, mate. 4-year deal. He's basically got 4 years to train, play, and develop as a central midfielder. And then if he's no good, he gets shipped out. I have had a lot of success in older games. There's one from an 1860 Munich save on FM20 that I had where I turned a striker who was a complete forward into a box to box central midfielder, and he was like, he was like Lampard, man. He smashed him in from centre mid. Andy Stewart, yeah, definitely a centre mid to me. You've seen Alex Davenport. We're definitely bringing him through. There's a Fijian in there. There's an Aussie. There's a fair few. Yeah, you're a deep lying playmaker. Don't then look at that. He's definitely a deep lying playmaker. We will probably train him though as a box to box midfielder because it does a bit of everything. His vision being a mental stat will probably just pick up the more he plays anyway. But we want his dribbling, his finishing, and whatnot to go up. So we'll definitely train him as a box to box. But in games, he's definitely a deep lying playmaker. I'm going to give him as long a contract as possible because I think within a few years, he could probably, maybe by the age of 18, 19, be in and around the squad. Shadrach Frimpong, man. Let me know in the comments any like great names you've seen. I'm giving him a big wage, Yeah, let me know any like mad names that you've seen. I think Shadrach Frimpong is a great name. Here you go. You're going to accept that off the bat, aren't you? Here you go. 6-year deal. Got until he's 21. I think he's more than capable. I think he's better than Lewis McLeod, who's the backup now. But at the age of 15, you don't want to overplay them. So my recommendation for young players is between the ages like 15 to 17, 18, keep them at your club. Put them in the first team, but have them playing for the youth team, have them mentored, do all that nonsense. And then when you think they're like a 2-star, 2.5-star, maybe loan them out to a club. Make sure when you're loaning them out that they're playing a lot of football, either an important player or a regular starter, and then get your loan reports on them. You need to make sure that they're doing well. Otherwise, it can go one way or the other. I might even go back and show you some of the players that we had in the 1860 Munich save on FM20, and you'll see what I mean by players can fall flat or players can develop very well. We sold one guy to Borussia Dortmund for like 2 mil because we didn't think he'd develop. But Dortmund obviously trained him properly and played him in a different position, and he ended up becoming a £100 million right back and went on to Hertha Berlin and was the best right back in the game. And we sold him for like 2 mil. So you do have to pay attention to this, and I know a lot of FM players will pay a lot of attention to this. But if you're one of them who's a bit more casual, then yeah, that's my advice to you. Andrew Walsh, Fijian, central midfielder, physicals not great. He's He's unambitious, but his determination's good. I'll probably get him mentored just to try and change the personality. He's I don't know. I don't know what I'd do with this guy. He's very good technically. Stamina's not amazing. He's good at tackling. Maybe a wing back. Crossing 6, dribbling 7, first touch. He's fairly brave. He's not very aggressive though. His concentration isn't the best. The closest we can see is maybe defensive winger, marking a 4. I think he could potentially be a right back. Um, I'm not going to sign him up straight away. I'm going to let my scouts have a little look at him first in the youth candidate game and see what they think. I always do this, by the way. Again, let me know whether you guys do. I always look at these guys and think, what would I do with them? I don't just sort of let the youth coaches and whatnot sign them on their recommendation. I always look and I make the decision because I like looking at them and knowing which players we've got in the academy and who's going to play in what position. I have got a notebook that I use for work. I will 90% of the time write down little notes of who's where and what they're trading as. To me, this guy, he's 5'8", he's fairly quick, good agility. Decisions and whatnot aren't great, but his determination's good, his flair's good. They're saying he's a winger. He's not very good at crossing, but he's very good at dribbling. He's got okay finishing. He can't pass a ball. To me, he's probably a striker. Or yeah, to me, he's a striker. So I'm actually going to sign Ryan Williams up, and we're going to get him mentored by Andy Carroll and whatnot. And we're going to try 2-year youth deal. We're going to try him out as a striker in the youth teams and see how it goes. For those who don't know, you can actually get training reports from your youth team sent. I'm just going to show you this now. If you go onto staff and you go into responsibilities and then training, I believe. See this little button here? Receive trading emails from Luton Town's under 18s. Click that on and click confirm. So, do you know each month when it says like monthly training report and you see all the performance of the training ratings? Please put that on when you've got your youth intakes coming through. It's just so you know how they're getting on. You can keep an eye on them and you don't have to sort of do this and look at it there. It helps. It helps. Then obviously part of this save is Luton Town have a very good academy, as we've proven here with this youth intake. We want the youth players to come through and do very, 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 very well. Right, next up we've got Wade Kemp, who is an Aussie winger. Again, unambitious. So these are the guys who are like could be good, but need a bit of work, basically. Good crosser at the ball, inverted winger, which we like. Good dribbling, good first touch, decent long shots. His passing and his technique are okay. His vision's okay. Good flair, good determination, good decision making. He's very brave. Is he an inverted winger? His tackling's terrible. And his stamina, yeah, he's a winger. He's an off the bench winger. This guy. So yeah, we will offer him a contract and we will get him mentored up. He'd be more of an impact player to me. He's probably never going to be first team for me. But again, you've got to think about it as a business because football, as in Football Manager and in real life, is a business. You've got to sign the players. You've got to make the money. You've got to keep the coffers up. And Wade Kemp is somebody that we could develop, send out on loan, get a loan fee for, etc., and see how we go from there. Ubina and Mika. Kills the ball as well. Good crossing, good heading, 6 foot tall, good jumping reach, good marking, passing, tackling for this age. His anticipation's not the best. Very good bravery, good concentrations, decisions, positioning, teamwork, work rate. He's good, you know. I think that's a bit. I think 3 stars a bit harsh. What are they saying? I think that's harsh. I think he's better than that. That's harsh, you know, and he can play a few different positions too. Yeah, I am. He's definitely a fullback. I don't really see him being very useful anywhere else due to the strength and whatnot. But yeah, that's harsh. That's a harsh scout report. Owen Allen. Mate, 2-star. What? Looks for pass rather than attempting to score. Mentals are very good for his age. Physicals could do with a bit of work. You're a Metala, aren't you? Look at this. Stamina is okay. Metala support. You're a Metala, mate. We play with a Metala. Looks for pass rather than attempting to score. That's good. Good passing. Yeah, mate, you're getting signed. So he's definitely getting signed. He's fairly ambitious, which means that he will look to sort of get himself a move fairly easily, but also at the same time, will look to push himself. If we get him in and around the first team, and we've got like Alan Campbell, Pelly Ruddock, Leshabana, players like that who can mentor him, um, he could be a very, very, very good player. I don't know why he's only 2-star. And again, this is why I do look at them myself, because normally if you're just sort of scrolling through your development center and you see a 2-star player, you don't think much of it. But that guy actually had very good traits. He had good everything already. It's just about mentoring them and training them. Same for this guy. Again, stamina's not amazing. He's definitely a winger, isn't he? 6 foot though. Good jumping reach, good technique. His vision's not great though for a winger. So again, maybe he could be a striker. Best way to look at him from this is maybe as an inside forward. Composure 4, unambitious, needs mentoring. I think he could be a striker. Again, let's get him in. Let's sign him up. We're going to sign them all up basically. And do it from there. Finalise your deal. There you go. 2 years in. Cedric Mallet, Louis Brothers, 16 years of age. Again, another 2-star player. Mentally, we're getting some very good mental players through. They've got a lot of very good just mental attributes. And again, this guy's a bit of a mixed bag too. Good stamina, strength's a bit meh. Physicality is okay for somebody who's 16. Good good aggression, good bravery, good concentration, decision, determination, leadership of the ball position, teamwork. He's a box-to-box midfielder all day. Yeah, he's a box to box. I mean, look at this. Like his anticipation and his finishing need to go up, but if he's trading as a box to box, then it definitely will. Um, Again, 2-star. I don't think. I think that's unfair. I think if he pushes himself and he gets the right training, he could be at least a good rating for the first team, if not like a backup player. And next up, we've got Matt Payne, 16-year-old winger. Again, the stamina on these wingers is shocking. Nah, he's crap. He's not gonna develop. He's one of them. So out of that entire youth intake, he's the only one who I'm not gonna sign. He's the only one who's not gonna develop for me. Yeah, there's not an awful lot you can do with him there. Hmm. Okay, well that's sort of my thoughts on the youth intake and what I look out for. Um, on the next video on Thursday's upload, I'm going to show you what I've set the training as and who I've got the mentor by and the reasoning behind that. But that's what I look out for when my youth intake does come in. It's a bit of a mixed bag. It's encouraging that we've had such a good one from the off. Obviously, London being a big catchment area and us having good youth academy. Obviously the game has set our youth priority quite high, so that they've come to us to develop. But it's encouraging. It's definitely encouraging. Yeah, I'm just going to show you quickly for those of you who don't necessarily know. You can see who comes through the youth academy or who comes in youth wise, sort of all over the world. So what you want to do is you want to just Control W and you want to go on to youth intake because it brings all the transfers up for the world. You can set the filter. This is look at all these guys who are in Colombia and whatnot. Obviously, you're not going to probably sign a lot of them because they're young, but you can see them on this. Look at this. You can add all these to a shortlist if you do want to. I know a few people like to add all these guys to the shortlist, and then you can filter it down by attributes and go for it from there and sort of do your own scouting on them. Sort of like these guys from Club America, they tend to have a lot of good players coming through. I mean, look at him. personality is not great, but he's very good. You can do it that way. For the purposes of this video, we want to look at England, and we want to see the youth players that have come in to England. So April, there you go, those are the Luton Town ones. And then you can just do it from there. You can go through and scout them. You can add them all to a shortlist. I press Control S instead of Control A. If you Control A, that selects all of them. Don't forget, FM is literally just an Excel spreadsheet. So what you can do on Excel, you can pretty much do on FM. You want to Control all, and then you want to right click, and you can either add them all to your shortlist, and then go through your shortlist, filter by attributes, and do it from there. Add them to your shortlist and just keep an eye on them. I'm going to make another shortlist. I'm going to label that one as Youth Intake 2021. And then we're going to just keep an eye on the ones who attribute-wise catch my eye. And, sometimes they get released after like a year or two. Sometimes they end up becoming the better players in the game. But it's just a way of keeping an eye on it. What I'll do then basically is I'll find another scout. We'll add another scout. Here we go. So, Control A. How many are there? 500 people. So, you can't do a 500 wise. So, what you want to do is you want to go from here and you just want to drag down as much as you can. I think you can add 200 people at a time to a shortlist. Let's just go to the bottom of Swindon. And then you want to right click. You can either get a scout report from the off or you can add to shortlist and do it that way. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you again the idea behind how to find these guys. Again, you're not going to be able to sign them from the off, so don't try it. They've changed it in the past couple of installments of FM. You cannot just sign these guys from the off. We don't want to sign shortlist. We want to clear the default shortlist because this is basically just everyone. I hate the way it adds everyone to this shortlist. List remove from the default shortlist. Yep. And then we want to go and add a new shortlist, and we want to name this Youth Intake 2021. So Youth Intake 2021, you want to double back and go back to your World Transfer tab. You want to right click, add to shortlist, Youth Intake 2021. And I do it indefinitely because these are the ones I want to keep an eye on. Once I've filtered down attribute wise, I remove the ones who are basically no good. And then we'll keep an eye on these guys indefinitely and see how it goes from there. So same again, we want to go from Shrewsbury and we want to go all the way down as far as we can. Let's do bottom of Millwall. Add to shortlist, Youth Intake 2021, indefinitely. And again, I'm only doing this for like English clubs. You can do this for like literally the entire world if you want to. It takes a lot of time. If you've got a spare sort of like 2-3 hours and you just want to drill down and do your own individual scout and then go ahead and do it. If you watch Second Yellow Card, he does this an awful lot. And he looks at the youth intakes and drills down himself, adds them all to shortlist, and basically that's how he gets everyone for so cheap. He does a lot of the building the nation stuff. He's sort of the FM guy for that. I remember him doing it on his Iceland one, and he got a lot of very good players for very cheap doing this method. And again, because we're in England, you want to look at the guys who will get a work permit. So you want to look at English players or English youth intake and Irish youth intake. You're not really going to get anybody else unless there's, say, like an African guy who's playing games for his country at the age of like 18. Like that's the only other way you're going to get around it. So youth intake and definitely Bristol and Sheffield Wednesday, so on. I'm just going to pause it while I'm doing this, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I mean when you're looking and drilling down yourself. Okay, so we've done this now. There's a couple of things you want to keep an eye on and look out for. First of all, is you can sort of just get analyst reports and scout reports from the off for the entire shortlist based on those buttons down here, same as adding to the transfer target. when someone's on your shortlist, you're going to get all sorts of reports from them. I don't know if you can turn it off. If I do this here, you can sort of manage your shortlist. I'm just going to do it from here. So if we go to responsibilities, transfers and contracts, maybe scouting. Don't shortlist them. Maybe go overview. Hmm. It's annoying because you're basically going to get a lot of stuff coming through. Maybe media. No, I don't know if you can turn it off. If you can do, please let me know because it does get very annoying because you're going to get a lot of stuff saying this player's done this and this player's done this, blah 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 blah. So it's always worth from the minute you add them to this shortlist is to basically identify which ones you want and clear the rest off. So now they're on the shortlist. You can do a couple of things. You can filter by position, again, similar to if you were just looking at uh, just like your normal scouting setup. You can see there's a lot of players on here. There's about 6,000, I think, it filtered to in the end. You can filter it by the position of your tactics and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. You can put your custom things in, your custom views, etc., etc. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to filter by interested in transfer or loan yet, because a lot of them are only like 15, 16, 17, whatever. They're probably not going to want to come to you yet unless you're like PSG. So you're going to want to basically just identify the players and just keep an eye on them. And again, it's very, very similar. You can just do absolutely anything that you want from there. Say like, I wanted someone who can play like a deep line playmaker. You can filter the position from there. 593 players, I think, in total. I don't know why I said 6,000. Silly old me. So yeah, you can sort of do that. There's 123 players, and let's say we want them to have good technique, good vision, good passing. 15 is obviously very, very good. You're probably not going to find many with that, but you can drop it down. You can, match of any. There you go. You found there straight away a lot of players. Value and all that's there. Obviously, the higher the value, realistically, the bigger club that there are. So you see, like this guy, Tom Hillard, is is a very technical player, decent physicals. Could you get him in? Could you develop him? Again, it's this is why you need to take the time to find what you're looking for and do it that way. Obviously, FMB and FM. A lot of the times, it's the strikers, and it's always advanced forwards. The game produces so many advanced forwards; it's ridiculous. So, if you want to just pick highlight attributes for attack and roll, advanced forward, drop it to like 13, match, drop that down, and make like 11 and 11. There should be a few popping up. No, tens, tens and tens. Have we got any tens and tens? There you go. 16 people who match that. Again, James Agyemang straight away. Let's have a little look. So this is somebody that I will keep an eye on. Again, he's playing for Bournemouth, who are in the same division as me. They're a higher reputation club. He's probably not going to want to come to me, but I would keep him on the shortlist. Either make a note of his name, whatever, or you can move him to a separate shortlist and go for it that way. But he's somebody I would definitely keep an eye on. He's 6'4". He's quite physical. It's saying he's a poacher, which I don't really see him as a poacher because he comes deep to get the ball. Um, definitely, definitely a target man, or even potentially an advanced forwards because that's what we look for. Yeah, he's somebody that we would definitely keep an eye on, and we've got he's what 15. We've got years to scout him, and yeah, I'll show you in the next video the guys that I'm going to keep an eye on. We're probably not going to be able to sign him. Definitely not straight away. Maybe even after like 2 years, he's probably going to have developed a bit more, or he's going to go elsewhere. But that's just how it is. But this is what I look out for on youth intake day. I've sort of shown you my thought process on what I like to do with my players, and then how I keep an eye on other players coming through. and, you know, make a informed decision on who I want to keep an eye on. But thanks for watching, lads. I know it was a bit of a long one. Not very exciting today, but again, not all the time. Essentially, lads, we just look at a big spreadsheet all day. So if you're like me and that's what you do at work, and then you do it when you come home, you're basically working. It's not very exciting, is it? So yeah, thanks very much for watching. I will see you all on Thursday and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.